hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
We are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. I couldn't find my mouse. So I was up in here. I was
Yeah.
struggling. So, as you guys know, we're going to give people some time to jump in. And
Man, this Raphael Warnock campaign is these John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock. I have never seen anything like it.
let's talk about Jasmine.
Then Georgia, the Senate runoffs that are about to determine whether or not the Senate has a
Is
tie.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm literally getting text messages as we speak. Hi, Jasmine. This is such and such from the Warnock campaign.
Yo, I feel like I've gotten so many texts. Like I've never received so many text reminders of like um what's popping. Are you voting today?
All mine came from the Elizabeth Warren campaign, which I don't mind. I like Elizabeth Warren, but I wouldn't donate no money. But I love y'all. I voted.
Are you sure that's just what's in that cup? Is it really just tea?
Yeah, mango dragon fruit. So,
Mm.
I told you I'm never drinking again. Never.
I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see. I just wanted to see. Um
So what is the ground like there in Georgia, Jasmine?
Oh my gosh. So I was just sharing it on my page. Hold on, let me come out so it don't make random noises.
Hey Rika.
So the ground game is sick. I would say Loeffler and Perdue, who are the people who hold the Senate seat. Loeffler was appointed by the governor, and Perdue was actually elected. They're nervous because we have the momentum, obviously. But I do feel like there's a little piece of the country is very moderate right now because I think Joe Biden is able to pull some Republican vote.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's not on the ballot, it's like we've got to work extra hard to get those who came out because we're already leading by like 10,000 votes in each of those races.
Right.
You got to get those same exact people to come back out and do the exact same thing. And if I was Nancy Pelosi, just me personally, I would go ahead and get some stuff pushed out legislatively just to put them to the test on how they vote in the next 60 days.
Okay, hold up.
Okay, let's not go. Okay, I'm sorry, Quiz. You know how we.
I know. This is what you guys do to me in the group chat. Always quiet. So
I'm sorry. Okay, cool. I got it.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, hey Reek, hey Amira, Shay, hey Chanel. That's my new friend. We met. She cool. Hey Jaleesa.
Hey new friend.
Hey Gigi. It's a lot of people. Yes, Professor Swift.
Don't hate CB.
Professor Swift. So we're going to start. People are pouring in. We're going to start. For the people who was not here for the first live episode, I am the girl, your host, the Quez of Champagne Conversation. Sorry, everybody's texting me, has a live started yet? And I'm trying to be like multitasking. But so I'm your host, Quez, and I have two amazing people who you guys seem to love. I got a lot of good feedback about both of them. I don't know why, because they're okay, but they're not special.
I'm gonna let you do it.
Right.
Jasmine and Brandon, Professor
Ward.
Hello.
So they're going to introduce themselves, and then we're going to start the icebreaker, what we're drinking on tonight, and so forth and so on. So I think we started with Brandon last time, so we're going to start with Jasmine this time. Jasmine?
Hey guys, so I just wanted to hop in here. First of all, thanks to Quez again for getting us back on this platform. We appreciate it. Shout out to a few of my friends who are on the live that are joining for the first time. My homegirl Giselle, who went to Rutgers with me, and a couple other people I know from Jackson State. But anyway, native of New Orleans and studied political science at Jackson State. Got my MPA at Rutgers, and I have been all things politics, all things exit polls since the election happened on Tuesday. So it's kind of been CNN and chill at my house for the past like 3 or 4 days with my husband. Yeah, no more Netflix and chill. It's been CNN and chill. So let's wrap this up. But I feel like this is going to be a good conversation. So where do we go next? And then I'll pass it over to Brandon.
All right, hello everyone. Sanford, yes, Swift can be a professor as well, and we'll get into why my name is Professor Swift later on in the show. But my name is Brandon Ward. I am a native of Lake Village, Arkansas, in the Mississippi Delta. I got my master's and bachelor's in political science from Jackson State. In political science, of course, I think I said that. And I'm currently working on my doctorate degree in ethical leadership, and I will be done, doctorate of education, and I will be done in May of next year. And I cannot, I have been doing all things politics since I can't remember, from working with the Mississippi House of Representatives, working with the Mississippi Southern District Attorney General's office, teaching political science courses since 2015. My life has pretty much revolved around politics, and I love it. I love how we can discuss it and how it impacts us, and talk about how we move forward from here. That's pretty much me.
Period. Okay, and I am Sequez. I have been fortunate to know both of these amazing individuals for quite some time. I am not a politic head as they are, so that's why I tap in and use my resources and lean on them. And from the feedback, the crazy amount of feedback that I received from episode 1, that you guys really enjoyed them. You felt like you learned a lot. It was very informative. And you guys asked for a part 2. And so here we are, right? We listened. So we're here back. And so we're going to start. Oh, also, I'm from New Orleans. I currently live in Nashville. All 3 of us went to the Jackson State University, where I met Jasmine before that. We went to high school together, but we all kind of got in our own little grooves at the Jackson State University. And so I decided, because, I mean, this whole week was a whole vibe. So I decided to wear out my Jackson State University, the blackest shirt I could find, which y'all see, period. And we're going to start. So let's move on to our icebreaker. Icebreaker.
Did we collect the coins for this icebreaker?
Huh?
Did we collect the coins for this icebreaker?
I got this one. On me, period.
Okay.
But this icebreaker, no, this is the icebreaker for all of us. And then we're going to have the ones that you sent. Brandon, do you have your icebreaker?
I didn't know I but I got one.
Okay. So the icebreaker for everyone and the people in the chat. What is the most memorable election you've experienced?
Oh, please. Woo.
We are.
I thought we all should kind of have the same one.
Right.
So I think I'm gonna start with Jazz. What's the most memorable election you remember?
Okay, so there are 2,
Mm-hmm.
for 2 very different reasons. Number 1, obviously Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
He was elected president. I mean, if you were literally on the yard, I mean, my president is black was blasting at Alexander in the field. The plaza was live. I mean, it just, if you weren't even in at a university, it just the whole feeling around the 2008 election. Then I think on a very different spectrum, right? The 2016 election is something I will never forget. Like the day after, we don't even have to talk about what happened. We all know what happened, but it just the next morning of where do we go next after the November 2016 election, I think
It's-
that all struck us to the point where it's like, okay, what's next?
yeah.
So 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 I think, Barack Obama from a joyous standpoint, and then November 2016 of where do we go next? So
What's popping next?
yeah.
Okay, what about you, Brandon? What about you, Brandon?
I don't think anything else needs to be said. Like that 2008 presidential election behind Alexander, just the crowds on the plaza. I even remember my craft sister, well, not my craft sister, one of my bandmates, that black car in the middle of the road, blasting "My President is Black," and everybody
Yeah.
right around it singing the lyrics. Like it was a crazy time. It was a great time, and it's something that we didn't know was going to happen during our lifetime. I think that was what made it so important. But that's it. Like that's the most memorable moment I have when it comes to any presidential election. Of course, 2016 and the downward spiral that was, but 2008 presidential election, absolutely.
Man, I would say the same. I remember everybody, like, I don't know, it was not like it was a text that was sent out. It was just that everybody just gravitated
Mm-hmm.
towards the back of Alexander. And and I remember the security security came, tried to clear it out, and nobody was going. Like, bro, go home. Like, it wasn't happening. People were standing on their cars, like driving. It was bananas. I've never been so like excited about an election in my life. I was just like, okay, this is it. This is it. And then we had those two amazing times. And then Trump came, and then I told my boss that I wasn't coming into work. I was like, yeah, I'm not coming to work today. I'm gonna take a mental health day, and we're gonna go from there. And I took a mental health day that day. So
Um,
that's on period. So we're going to move on. So if you know about the Champagne Conversation, we have honest and transparent conversation. That's what we're all about, uncut, to the point. We say how we feel. It's a safe space for us to be honest as much as possible, and respectful. However, we do that while we take a little sip. So, Brandon, what are you drinking tonight?
so
Starbucks.
I am never drinking again.
Oh
Never.
my God, he's saying
Well,
that now.
before this podcast started, of course, I was at Starbucks doing some reading, some writing, some researching, and I'm finishing my mango dragon fruit tea and water. Now, don't judge me if y'all see my Instagram this weekend and I'm in Atlanta with bottles in my hand, but I'm trying my best. I am never drinking again.
Also, everyone, if you're drinking with us tonight, please put your drink in the comment section of what you're drinking. Okay. He said I'm drinking aloe water. Okay. Jazz, what you drinking tonight?
So if you know me, you know I'm a tea in the morning and a red wine in the evening kind of girl. So for me, it's Roscato, a sweet
Mhm.
red wine. So
Okay. So in the celebration of just all things black, okay, and especially black women, how we just really just showed up for this presidential election. I'm drinking the McBride Sisters Black owned wine, and it's Black Girl Magic Riesling. Um, because we black, you know. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. It's really good. It's not too sweet. I'm not like a real sweet wine drinker. I kind of like a little at the end. Um, so Amira said she loves Roscato. I've never had it before.
it's so good. It's so worth it. I
Is
first
it
had it
really
at,
sweet?
it's not really sweet. I first had it at Longhorn Steakhouse. That's gonna sound really weird, but the waitress was very nice to tell us what they typically pair with their top steak at Longhorn. And ever since then, I've been finding it. Like I've been hooked.
Okay, Sheila with the Patron Margarita or Splash.
Ooh,
Okay,
Sheila.
a splash. Oh, look, Brandon, your homegirl Maddie's in here.
Come on, red wine in the evening. Yes, very good. I love that.
Y'all remember Maddie from the N-word episode?
Yep.
Mhm.
That's Maddie. All right, so let's move forward. Let's jump right into it. Can we just so we have now a President-elect Joe Biden and VP Kamala Harris is up. How are we feeling about this? How are we feeling? Like what is the emotions behind it? How are y'all feeling? Like what's tea?
So first of all, thank you, Black women. Let's give a round of applause. I don't know if you had a little sound applause you can put
I
in.
don't have it on here because you know I
Oh,
have my sound effects.
shoot.
We
Okay.
gonna clap it up.
Clap it up for Black women. Um, I'm very, very proud of the Black voter turnout. Let me start there. When you look at the cities that were waiting to roll in slowly but surely, you had Atlanta, you had Philadelphia, I think it was Milwaukee, which was kind of a shock because a lot of people just assumed Wisconsin was going to go. Detroit, and then Arizona, and I think Nevada is still counting. I don't know what
I
are
think
we
they're
doing.
now. I
They
think
said
they're
they're not gonna be finished till a couple of weeks. But the question is, how are you feeling? What
Yeah.
are you feeling right
So that's what I'm saying. So I just wanted to kick it off there and say I'm very proud. I am very. It's almost surreal that we have a Black woman um, who's going to be serving as vice president. She's Jamaican and Indian. I think that that's huge. That in itself is almost surreal. It almost felt like 2008 all over again last night. And it just, I'll never forget. You know how you have those moments where you never forget where you were. I was in Publix in the grocery store, and I was in the checkout line, and the people who were checking me out, it was a young girl who was about 16, and she was Indian, and she started jumping up and down and screaming, and I knew then. And it was a Black guy who had told her, they were both about 16, 17, and it just looked, the look on their face of like hope,
now?
right? Was like,
Yeah.
that's what we wanted, right? It's about the next generation. That was what we were doing. We were trying to save democracy. So I'm just very ecstatic. I mean, there's no words for it right now, honestly.
same. So I'm going to be honest. I honestly thought Donald Trump was going to win. Like with
Mhm.
the way the electoral college is set up, with the way Black votes are saturated in the southern states, and the way white citizens come out for Donald Trump, I honestly thought he was going to win. So when it was announced that Joe Biden was leading in Nevada, in Wisconsin, and flip Georgia, I was like, what? So I was surprised. So
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic because I understand like what it means to have a president who is ethical and putting people in positions to change the status of America. Like I saw the I don't know if it's the president, but said let's get back in the Iran nuclear deal. Like it's people are starting to come back to that normalcy. Like we have a actual leader in office who is going to look out for everyone. That was my feeling a few days ago. But now I'm starting to feel what's the word I'm looking for? Suspect. And I'm gonna get into why a little later because I looked at the exit polls and just looking at who voted, why they voted, how they voted. I'm a little what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. As far as the future is concerned, the Democratic Party has some work to do.
Yes, I
And, I,
agree.
and I'm gonna get into why later, but they
Yeah.
have a lot of work to do. Like this is a great moment, but it's not going to last long. They don't make some changes and really start reaching out to the electorate and talking to those men and women that actually voted for these Democrats. But we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. I agree, Brandon.
So, let's talk about a little bit what was going on. So there was record breaking, right? Joe Biden broke a record, when it comes to um, having the most votes for a presidency in our nation. So what do you think about that? Like what do you think was just so pivotal to where people was really like, okay, the people who never voted before, people who never was interested in voting, What was so significant about this election at this time, Miss Present Day, that it surpassed? It was 74 million votes. What's so important about this specific election, in your guys' opinion, that forced people to go out and vote?
I think it goes to Brandon's point that he stressed on the first call, how polarizing this election was. I think again we were voting against something versus for someone, unfortunately. And yet again, it's people are attaching to I'm anti this versus for that. Um, I think that plays a huge part. I do think there are some people who are totally for Joe Biden. I will give him some credit. There are some people who are very pro Joe Biden. There are some people who are very pro Kamala Harris. But I also think there are enough people, because there are some Republicans who did vote for Joe Biden. I think there are enough people to say, I'm ready to get back to a sense of normalcy, or to get back to, having America Trump, excuse me, and I don't like that word anymore, America supersede party affiliation. So people like Colin Powell, people like John McCain's wife, I think those people came out and helped a lot in regards to saving our democracy.
And Jazz took it right out of my mouth. I could have went ahead and said it when I was talking a few minutes ago. People were voting against a candidate more than they were voting for a candidate. Well, not more, but it was a significant percent. So when I was looking at the exit polls number, I think 24% of the electorate voted against the candidate rather than for the candidate. What does that mean? 67% of that 24% voted for Biden. That means they were not voting for Biden. They were voting against Trump, which means they couldn't care less about Biden. So if the Republican Party had brought forth a candidate that really had sense and was a good leader, then this election could have went a different way, because these Democrats are not supporting Joe Biden. They're voting against Donald Trump. Or only 30% of that percentage voted against Biden. That makes sense. So the Democratic Party has work to do, because these citizens are not voting for your candidate. They're voting against us. We're polarized. And another reason I think that the turnout was so high is because so many barriers were brought down. If you look at what Stacey Abrams did in Georgia.
Wait,
I'm
going
going
to get there. You're going too fast.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm talking, Anyway, barriers were brought down. You had felons that are able to vote, like I said, the work that Stacey Abrams did in Georgia, first-time voters. And I think that Georgia's now trying to get those that, okay, I'm not going to get into it. I don't know when it's coming up. But you see more people voting, and you see the media. There was a large media campaign too. Like, this is important. You saw these Greek organizations saying, get out and vote. You see all the pictures stroll to the polls, so on and so forth. So there was a lot of media attention attached to this election, which means you really didn't have a choice but to go out and vote. Like, you almost felt you were wrong if you didn't go out and cast a ballot. Right.
Facts. It was almost like a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah. So I think that played a large part into it as well, because most people don't really understand how these elections impact us, but they do know that with this election, it was very important. So they went out and voted.
So let's move forward. Brandon, it is your pop quiz time. So for the people that was not a part of, I'm sorry. There's one viewer that's keep texting me that's being ridiculous, and I'm gonna need her to stop. Okay. Sorry, just ignore it. She knows what I'm talking about. So Brandon, it's your pop quiz. So if Brandon and Jazz both have pop quizzes throughout the night, it's just they have one apiece. And if you get the answer correctly in their pop quiz, I will cash app you $10. So Brandon, what is your pop quiz of the night?
So I honestly want a pop quiz, but I'm gonna ask this question. They have only,
and remember, we're not in AP. Like you was doing AP courses.
It's not gonna be 2 in AP, but there have only been 3 impeached presidents in the history of the United States. Who are those 3 impeached presidents?
They had to do all three? Or okay. So in the chat, Brandon asks, who are the three impeached presidents of the United States? If you get that answer right without going to Google, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are already going to Google, but if you get that answer right, we're going to cash up you. And I'll just make sure that you message the look at Maddie. Maddie gave us two. Maddie supposed to be three.
She gave us one.
She was
Say Clinton and Nixon, isn't it? That's two people.
Nixon. There's only one. Nope, not Clinton, Nixon, and Trump. It's not Nixon.
Hey, Morgan.
There we go. Morgan got it. So Nixon actually,
Morgan, text me your cash app.
So Nixon wasn't actually impeached. He actually resigned after Watergate. So if that, y'all not taking me down through there. So no, he resigned.
Okay. But yeah, good job, Morgan. Morgan, text me your cash app. So shout out to Brandon for his pop quiz. It wasn't bad because last time he was tripping. We had to literally ask the question 3 times for people to comprehend. So let's talk about the House of Representatives. Jasmine was kind of talking about it. Jasmine was kind of talking about the Senate, really. But let's talk about the House of Representatives and where we are right now. So when we look at the House of Representatives, Democrats is running the House at the moment. So when Brandon, you said that we have a lot of work to do. You repeated that over and over, and he was looking at some of the things that is happening right now, and how you were saying that people were not really voting for Biden; they were really voting against Trump. And at first, you was excited, but when you started doing your own research, you started to see that things are looking a little shaky. So how does that relate to the House of Representatives? Your feelings or thoughts when you was doing your own research? How does that relate to the House of Representatives?
So when Jazz, you want to go first? I know this is your topic.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So when we're looking at House Representatives, I wouldn't relate this to the House of Representatives because usually these people are in office for decades. Like when you look at Mississippi, Benny Thompson been in office since I was 5. Here in Texas, you have Representative Al Green and you have Sheila Jackson Lee. You have Congresswoman in California, what's her name? The black lady.
Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters, yeah, I cannot think of her name. These Congress people get elected to office over and over and over. Like incumbents usually win. So I wouldn't relate that to the House of Representatives. Now, they still have work to do. I think this is going to be one of those. These next 4 years are going to be very important because Black people are going to look at this and say, we helped y'all win the election. We have to get a president in office. What are y'all doing for us? And then the attention is going to be brought on the House of Representatives, those members. What policies are y'all passing that benefit me, right? So as far as the voting against the candidate, that's not going to affect the House of Representatives, but I do think the work that they do in the next 2 to 4 Sequoia, are you asleep?
No, I'm cash apping Morgan.
Oh. But no, I think the work that we do the next 2 to 4 years is really going to impact how Black voters start to feel about their elected representatives in their districts.
What about you guys?
I think this goes into the Democratic Party has a lot of work to do. I don't think it's, when you look at the exit polls that I really have been studying for the past 3 to 4 days, I posted this status and I think you shared it to your Champagne page, Squeeze, is the Democratic Party talks way, talks way too much to the inner cities only. And we haven't found a way to talk to rural America. And rural America, if you look at the map, right, you look at Iowa, you look at Indiana, you look at some of those places in the Rust Belt and other places that we typically don't perform well in, right? So the reason that Georgia is turning blue is because of Metro Atlanta. So that's Fulton County, that's DeKalb County, that's Cobb County, that's Clayton County. The reason Michigan went blue is because of Wayne County and Detroit, right? So if you look at all these places, it's only because of the inner cities. But once you get outside of some of these inner cities, which is where the bulk of the population of America exists, we've got to find a way to not only talk to the rural America, but we've got to do something for them in the next 4 years. Otherwise, it's going to be a continual drop in the House of Representatives. Now, on the flip side, we did really, really well in certain groups, right? So Democrats do really, really well with certain groups. But if Republicans don't start learning how to talk to minorities, young new voters, those people who are 25 and younger, and also now it looks like suburban white women, those three groups is where they're lagging. So I think both parties have a lot of work to do in regards to hearing groups of people who don't feel like they've been heard. So that in regards to the House of Representatives will begin to switch either way if the parties don't pay attention to what's happening in those demographics over the next 4 years.
All right. So let's flip it. Jasmine, when we was talking earlier, you jumped on, we were speaking about the Senate. And where we are at the Senate. So right now, last time I checked, and please, Brandon and Jasmine, correct me if I'm wrong. Last time I checked, it was kind of even. There's still, I think it's 2 or 4. I'm not sure which one seats that's open that can go either way. So what does that mean? I know we're working really hard to make sure that at least it break even, right? What is at stake here for the Senate when it comes in regards to us? Not even if you are the people that's listening, even if you are a Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. I'm just talking about in general. What does that mean when it comes to us for fighting for these last couple of seats?
So let's break down how the Senate looks currently. So right now it's at 48-48. Okay. So that literally means there's 2 seats left. Well, there were 4 seats pending. The 2 seats are pretty much getting ready to go to the Republican Party. There's one out in Arizona, I think, and then there's another one that's going to be carried somewhere else. I don't know the other state. What's the other state, Brandon?
North Carolina.
Where?
I think it's North Carolina.
Yeah, so it's 2 that's getting ready to pend over to the Republican side. So then that means that there will be 2 seats left in the Senate. And the 2 seats that are left would be the states here in Georgia, which is why there's a runoff. However, if there is a 50-50 split in the Senate, the Vice President of the United States breaks the tie with the vote. And who is that? That's now Vice President-elect Harris. So the goal here is to try to get Georgia to continue to flip blue, because there are things that are pending in the Senate that are on the line, such as healthcare. That's just one major issue. There are a whole host of other issues, the Voting Rights Act. There's so many other things that are on the line, but the whole goal is to try to get those 2 seats in Georgia, which is why Georgia is going to be the most populous state in the nation for the next 60 days, because everybody's going to be trying to get here to campaign for their candidate, whether they're Republican or Democrat. So again, right now it's at a 48-48. We've got 2 seats that are getting ready to go to the Republicans, which means that, so now we need those 2 final seats in Georgia, which is why it's the most talked about race in the nation. And again, if there's a tie in the Senate, the Vice President breaks the tie. So that's the reason why we're pushing for these 2 seats, and which is why the Republicans are fighting so hard to keep the majority.
And to expound on that, the Senate has a few powers that are very relevant to us normal Americans. For example, there are committees that are made up that go over legislation that directly impact us, and the Senate confirms the president's nominations. Well, what does that mean? For my educators that are currently on the call, Secretary Betsy DeVos was nominated by President Donald Trump. And I'm pretty sure y'all probably hate Betsy DeVos because she is absolutely horrible.
Mhm.
One of the things I think Betsy DeVos did was limit the investigative powers of the Title IX and did some things in secondary education to where if you were accusing someone of sexual harassment, you had to go before a public committee or do something in public, which made it harder to process those claims. And then you had Ben Carson running HUD, so he made it harder for black and brown people to get affordable housing because he limited what the federal office did and made it more state gave the states more control. So if you're in an area that's more Republican, more conservative, and they don't like you, you probably not gonna get fair housing. So these things affect us. And I know we're live. I know we said we cutthroat and straight to the point. This is why I really don't like it when I hear people say it doesn't matter who's president. We still gotta pray and God's in control. No, it does. I understand that, but it does matter who's president because they nominate people that directly affect everything we do on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
and people need to understand it. Secretary of Education, Secretary of the Interior, HUD, so on and so forth. They dictate what happens to your kids while in school,
Mhm.
what kind of loans you get, banking and taxation, like all these things affect you on a daily basis. So you need to be aware of who's running these offices. So you need to know what you need to do to prepare for these things. And if we have someone in office that's unethical or not qualified or know what the hell they're doing or giving money to the rich and cutting budgets, it's going to affect you. You need to know this. And this is one of the things that the Senate does. They confirm these individuals,
Mhm.
and they are made up of committees that go over policies and legislation that directly impact what we do on a day-to-day basis. Like Jazz said, Affordable Care Act, uh, Voting Rights Act. Donald Trump didn't pass really anything. Gets him to pass anything. And if we don't have a Senate that is left-leaning, that makes it harder for Joe Biden to do his job. So it's a lot of things in play here that directly impact us. And if we and then Supreme Court justice, so you may have a Supreme Court that may get rid of voting rights. I mean, not voting rights, abortion rights.
Mhm.
This directly impacts women. So it's a lot of play with during these elections that directly impact us on a day-to-day basis that we need to be aware of.
And I do believe that Joe Biden, president and vice president elect, I know everybody wondering what does pack the court mean, right? Some people have been asking, what does that mean? I believe that they are going to do that. Pack the court basically means that they are getting ready to bring up the possibility of adding 2 justices to the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court is leaning very conservatively at this time. And that is possible because DC has not been made a state. And if you make DC a state, then you have to have 2 new justices added.
Right.
And so I think that there are a lot of different things that play with this. I think there are a lot of federal judgeships that are also pending. Joe Biden has said that his very first pick for the Supreme Court will be a Black woman if there is a vacancy that comes available. So there are a lot of things at play, but the Senate confirms, right? So it's so many things at play, as Brandon stated, that come into who has control of the Senate.
Right.
That is defined by who has control of the Senate.
All right. So let's jump right into it. So let's talk about the tee hee, right? Let's get into some facts. Tee hee, like a laugh. Tee hee.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let's get into facts. Some facts. So I was looking at the exit polls. Jazz and Brandon, if y'all saw the list, y'all saw the all things I have, right? So let's look at some of the exit polls. Now, these exit polls were pulled from the New York Times, and this was at the time when I first pulled them on 11/7. So of course things may have changed or whatever, but I just want to make sure that guys, everybody know where I'm pulling from. So we have 12% of Black Americans voted for Trump versus the 8%, 8% in 2016. 87% of Black Americans voted for Biden versus the 89% in 2016 that voted for Clinton. Okay. Then we moved on to 32% of first-time voters voted for Trump. 66 first-time voters voted for Biden. And then we move on to 58% of white men voted for Trump versus 62% in 2016. And 55% of white women voted for Trump versus 52 in 2016. I'm gonna stop right there before we get into the Black people. Okay, so we see that there has been an increase when it comes to white women voting for Trump, but there in a way there's also been a decrease for of Black men voting for Trump. Voted for Trump this time around. Why do you think that more white women voted for Trump this time around versus more white men voting for Biden this time around?
Okay, I'm a
So
little confused, but go ahead.
So what happened was, when it comes to the numbers, it wasn't that big of a difference, but it was a difference. More white people voted, more white women voted for Donald Trump for 2020, right, than they did for Clinton. Okay, but more white men voted for Biden this time around than they did for Trump in 2000.
Oh, okay.
According to the exit polls.
So you're wondering where the disconnect happened.
So my question is, why do you think that more white women are voted for Trump than they did than white men voted for Trump this time around? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So one answer to that, just my guesstimation.
This is all opinion based.
Right. This is totally opinion, right? This is not, facts before, somebody come and say we fake news. But I believe that Joe Biden is very centrist, right? He is a very moderate politician. He is a person that can get things done with Republicans. He can get things done with Democrats. He can get things done with independents. I do believe that Joe Biden can recruit some white male Republicans to vote for him, which is why there have been some disconnects in numbers where people are like, wait, but a Republican candidate won re-election in this state or is getting ready to go to a runoff, but you've got Joe Biden who won the state in regards to the vote, right? In regards to the popular vote. That basically means that there were some white men who basically were anti-Donald Trump, but for their party from a policy standpoint. So you've got somebody like Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in the state of Georgia who are going to get the policy vote because they like the policies that are happening. They're just anti-Trump. So Joe Biden is one of the only political candidates that can do that, which is why I think the Democratic Party understood that from the beginning. You needed a centrist to get Donald Trump out of office. So I think that that's where some of the disconnect happened. So it looks like, less percentage of white men voted for Donald Trump versus in 2016. I think there could have been an increase of white women who voted for Trump this go round simply because they really petitioned suburban women. They really, really tried. So I think that there were some women who they really, really petitioned. The Trump campaign really tried to do Black men and suburban white women. They thought that that would be the tactic that would carry them. So I think that they spoke their language. They talked to them. But again, he still didn't perform as well. So my opinion, there were more white men who voted for Biden because he talks their language and he's one of the candidates who can actually get them to flip parties.
And I'm about to go back and look at the 2016 exit polls. Mm-hmm. But I think more educated white men voted for Biden this time around. I think it was like 16%, educated and uneducated, but 50% of that went to Joe Biden. Whereas you saw a large portion of the non-educated white women vote for Donald Trump. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying the non-educated white women voted at a larger rate and a higher percentage went to Donald Trump. Also, like Jazz said, Joe Biden does have the tendency to work across the aisle. I heard or read a news article where when Joe Biden's son died, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell actually, I think his name Mitch McConnell, yeah, actually went to the funeral. So they're friends. Like he is able to reach across the aisle and work with Republicans, and that appealed to I guess the suburban voters, like Jazz said. Also, going back to our earlier point, you saw a large portion of the American citizenry vote against a candidate rather than for a candidate. So they weren't voting for Joe Biden; they were voting against Donald Trump. And when you combine all those things, voting against Donald Trump and the educated white men voting larger percentage Democrat, I think that's probably the reason why they understand what another Donald Trump presidency would look like as opposed to a Joe Biden. And they said, now we can't go through 4 more years what we just went through. And
I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think Sheila mentioned that white men didn't like Clinton. I think that plays a factor. I think that they would rather
vote for another white man.
Vote for another white man versus a white woman. Even though Senator Harris was on the ticket, it still is a white man leading the ticket. I think that played a part. So I think there are several different factors as to why these demographics are shifting. It's very interesting when you look at the exit poll numbers. And so I'll let you go to the next demographics, please.
All right, so let's talk about black men. Okay, let's just jump into the utter disappointment of black men. I'm just no disrespect to. No, I meant all with disrespect. Let's talk about black men. So 18% of black men voted for Donald Trump. Now, it's not the fact that it's just 18% of black men voted for Donald Trump according to the exit polls. It's the fact that it was an increase from 2016. So 18% of black men voted for Donald Trump versus the 13% in 2016. Brandon made a point in the first live that that we did, and he was saying that more is coming to look like more black men are becoming more conservative. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what Brandon said.
I probably is.
Well, that's when you was drinking back then. You know, you're sober now, but back when you was drinking, I'm sorry, Sheila funny. But so what do you think is happening? Like what is really good going on? Because now, according to the exit polls, 8% of black women voted for Trump versus 4%. No, I forgot it was for 2016.
4%, I think.
It was 6% in 2016.
No, 4%.
It was 4%. So it was an increase also for black women. But what do you think happened with us when it comes, specifically black men that's voting for Trump? Like, what is so happened about? Because what we talked about last time, it was the whole pulling of the bootstraps. We discussed that, but we realized that Donald Trump didn't even have no bootstraps to pull from. His dad still gave him $1 million to get his career popping. So, what about Donald Trump is appealing to black men? What is it to where they're willing to go and support a documented racist bigot?
I've been racking my brain. We talked about it a little bit on Friday, or a lot of it on Friday with my podcast, Brothers Vent 2.
Brothers Vent 2, check it out and type that in down there. Go ahead, listen.
One, like we said, Donald Trump isn't the typical politician. When you think about
is he a politician?
Huh?
Do you consider him a politician though?
No, of course not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So there's a few things that play there, but before I go into that, you see a large portion of black people voting for Trump that are in those areas where they make a lot of money, and I think they benefited from a Donald Trump presidency. I'm gonna be honest with you. So when I see those statuses on Facebook saying if you vote for Donald Trump, you pretty much support racism, xenophobia, all these other negative things, I don't know, because if you're receiving a 3%, if your taxes go down, you're making more money on Donald Trump presidency, that may be a good reason for you to vote for him again. I'm not speaking from my perspective, I'm just saying what they may be thinking. Let me clarify that. And like she said, Donald Trump is a businessman. He probably gave those tax breaks to the rich, and they said, well, Joe Biden coming in talking about taxing us at a higher rate. those suburban and more well-off black men, more educated black men may have said, okay, maybe I do need to go through 4 more years of Donald Trump to get more money. That's one thing. That's just a thought. Secondly, I've heard a lot of conversation about it doesn't matter who's president. I don't even know how to word this. It's so ignorant. I'm gonna leave that because it makes no sense like it does now. Basically, I think that Donald Trump appealed to the patriarchal side of black men and that non-political side of black men. He just doesn't seem like the typical politician, so that's who they went with. Like I heard one person say they prefer their racism overt rather than covert, so it doesn't matter what he says as far as racism. As long as he's benefiting from the presidency, he's going to vote for him again. There's just so many ignorant things I've heard from black men and women when it came to his presidency that doesn't rationalize why you should vote for him. But there's some other reasons why I've heard black men vote for him.
So you think? So what do you think specifically? What do you think is really the key factor when it comes to? And do you think that's going to be the new norm? Is it just a Trump thing, or do you think that more black men are migrating to the Republican Party?
That's a good question. I've heard black men say they've been voting Democrat for so long and haven't received anything. They're switching over, but it could just be a Trump thing, or it could be a mix. That one, I don't know. The next 2 to 4 years is really gonna tell. But as of right now, I'm going to say it was just a Trump thing. That's a tough one though, because as black men move up that ladder, they may start to veer off and then forget. Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know the answer to that one.
Did I just stump Brandon?
You did. I'm gonna say this. I don't think it's a Republican thing. I think it was just a Trump thing, and I think the black men are going to start to migrate more back to the Democratic Party. But they have to do something to attract these black men and women back to the Democratic
Party. Just,
Okay, so let me be the one to be the realist here. Thank you, Brandon, for the black man. I'm a black man. I'm gonna be a black woman and be like, there's a little bit of self-hate happening here.
Keep going.
There's a little bit of, I really don't like the situation that I'm in, and I've been voting for this party for so long that maybe I should begin to attach myself to something else, because at some point it may end up making me look as though I've moved up the ladder or I've begun to level the playing field with white men. There's a little bit, not saying it's the real answer, but in my opinion, there's a little bit of self-hate happening with that. Now, I do have a family member, distant, 2 of them that voted for him. Okay. I wanted to pick their brains. Now, I didn't talk to them directly because I would literally go completely off. But I talked to people who are connected to them that are very close to them. I said, why? Why do they vote for him? They voted for him in 2016 and they voted for him in 2020. 1, abortion. Okay. I really wish I was the type of person that could be a 1-issue voter. Sorry, I don't have that privilege. 2, I think when Joe Biden started talking about closing oil factories, that talked to some of them. One of them works in the oil industry, rather. They also said, oh well, he if you shut out all that rhetoric that he says, and if you shut out all that talking that he says, he really is a good businessman. What has he done? Right? So I think and again, this is just my opinion. This is not fake news, and I don't need nobody coming after me saying, oh, she said this, whatever. No, I believe there is some self-hate and some disloyalty to self-interest because of what's happening, and they would like to at least level the playing field, or they think that they are Lil Wayne, for example, who said he's never experienced racism in his life. Bruh, you're in the music industry. Stop it.
Bro, you from New Orleans.
I don't, and I'm with Joseph. I'm torn because when I think about the socialization process, and think about how we hear the same message over and over and over, we start to believe it. Donald Trump has a strong media presence, social media presence. I think that black men were so tired of hearing that we supposed to vote for the Democratic Party because we're black, and they started seeing what Donald Trump was saying, that they said, okay, I think I'm gonna go along with what Donald Trump is saying and vote for him. And they started looking back at if they benefited from Democratic policies or voting for the Democratic Party, and they said, no, I haven't. And Donald Trump has been saying, well, if you vote for me, I'm gonna cut your taxes. What do you have to lose? All these other things, and they vote for Donald Trump. Like, if you hear this message over and over and over, you start to believe it. And he's been saying these things. The media has been saying these things, and black men have been eating it up. Now, it could go to being too woke or hotepish and just trying to go against the grain just to argue. But I do think that black men were tired of hearing that I'm supposed to vote for the Democratic Party because I'm African American. Whereas black women, you're not going to see that because we talked about linked fate last time. They're not voting just for themselves. They're voting for the well-being of everyone that they're encountering. So black men, it's not like that. They're voting for themselves. And I think that they saw this as an opportunity to move up the ladder, like you said. I'm not going to call it self-hate. I'm going to just say that it's, what's the time?
Rebellion?
So no, it's self-interest, which leads it's self-interest, which leads to self-hate, because it goes way deeper than what we're talking about right now. But I'm gonna just be completely honest. Whenever I see somewhere that's a state like Mississippi, which is the blackest state in the nation, then you've got Louisiana, which is the second blackest state in the nation. I'm really okay. All right. Well, I like Joseph's response. I mean, there is a difference between a Republican and a 45 supporter. Everybody knows that. We've all defined that in the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that when you look at the numbers in regards to that, in regards to, as I was saying, Mississippi being the blackest state in the nation and Louisiana being the second blackest state, it still is not going to happen anytime soon where we change the voting block or the demographic, because the reason Georgia is changing so rapidly, right, is because of all of the corporations that are coming here and all of the transplants who move here, as we talked about before. And so that goes back to who's voting for these candidates. And if you look at the people who are voting for these candidates, it blows your mind at the numbers. So when I look at these numbers, these exit poll numbers, the only group that didn't increase. Wait, what are you laughing at? What happened?
I'm laughing at Brandon. I'm trying to give the people more.
The only group that didn't increase in regards to Trump support is white men.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting to me.
I want to say something real quick because I
can't see this.
Huh?
Can't see.
My bad. I'll take it off. So my thing about the whole shebanga when it comes to black men, I understand what Jasmine's saying, where it does kind of reflect as a self-hatred type of thing, but I also understand what Brandon is saying when it comes to, is it self-hatred or is it just selfish, right? And but the thing is, I think especially being in the corporate sector, right? Sometimes you see yourself assimilating and don't even realize it until the point where you want to you're so heavily saturated in such a community or an environment that you see yourself as a part of that, but you're not really a part of that, right? And so my issue with black men is, we understand that you work hard. Okay. We understand that you work hard, you sacrifice, you've done all you're supposed to do. So how are you going to tell me how to vote? But I just as much as, because what I don't understand is how you want to feel like, oh, how you want to tell me how to vote? I've been working so hard, da, 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 da. But when it comes to reality, black women are the most educated group in America. So how can we see the bigger picture, but black men are only still just looking at self? I just don't understand. I don't understand that. And
Well,
maybe
that's because black women are doubly disadvantaged, and so they go through a lot more than any other demographic. They have to deal with the disadvantages of being a woman. They have to deal with the disadvantages of being black. Whereas men, even though we're black, we're still men, so we have those benefits that may come with being a man that white men are able to enjoy as well. With black women, they realize that, so they are voting to make sure that other black women are taken care of as well. They're voting in all their interests. Whereas black men, and I'm saying me specifically that I think about this, but we get to enjoy certain privileges that other people don't because we are a man. And I'm also interested, this is 18% of the black men in the entire United States. I'm interested to see where is that large black man Republican vote for Trump concentrated? Is it in Mississippi, in the Delta, or is it in Atlanta, in the suburbs, or yeah, that's what I'm really interested in seeing, or like in Houston, in the Katie's and those high profile areas. That's what I really want to know, because just seeing 18% of black men really doesn't tell us a lot. But if we look at those areas, the education, the income, that really gives us a good picture of, or a good thought process of why these individuals vote for Trump.
And I think that it goes back to what everybody kind of is saying in the comments. You know, women have more compassion, and the collective versus the individual mindset, being selfish. And a lot of times I've noticed that, you know, you'll hear women complain about, you know, man, it's like, I'm always doing everything. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm taking care of this, I'm taking care of that. And it's just like, yet again, saving the country falls on black women. Now, I'm very curious with this 4% increase of black women voting for Trump. So that means that it's no longer 96% of black women voted for Clinton in 2016. Now we're at 92% of black women voted for Joe Biden. I'm really, really curious about that 4% margin, where that change comes from. Like
I was
Brandon
wondering the same, but then we also have to take into account that there's more voters now. So we have to kind of take in account to that as well. But I was really interested into seeing like what happened. I'm really interested to see what happened with that.
I'm very curious about that. Again, I'll go back and this is straight facts. The only group that did not increase in Donald Trump support from 2016 to 2020 is white men. Even if you look at the Latino vote, right? I don't know those numbers exactly, but there was a huge jump in the Latino vote in regards to Donald Trump's support.
I think 36% of Latino men voted for Trump.
Correct.
Go back and look at it and see.
I don't understand what's so appealing about Trump. Okay, you know what?
Because we live in a different society. People are picking up their phones and Facebook and Twitter before they brush their teeth. And some of the first thing they see is, well, what has Donald Trump done or said now, right?
But he's like a pathological liar. Like,
but it's not about him being a liar. It's about him being.
So why do we even entertain the foolishness? Like,
I mean, look at the fact that, like, right now there are literally Trump supporters who refuse to claim that Joe Biden has won this election, and it's based around, the media's lying.
Mm-hmm.
The media, the liberal media said this, the liberal media said that, and I'm like, but Fox News called Arizona first.
But it goes back to what we've been saying for the past few weeks: polarization, proper socialization. You have
polarization.
But I'm serious. You have those people that are absolutely not going to vote for the other party, and you couple that with Donald Trump saying fake news over and over, and not trusting the government, not trusting media. These people are eating. They were in Arizona praying for them to stop counting the votes or continue counting votes. Like, these people are basically brainwashed, and it's because of hearing the same message over and over and over. And like I said, we have our phones in our face every day. Donald Trump has 80-some million followers on Twitter. Like, they are seeing these same messages every day. At some point, you start to believe it.
Yep.
At some point.
Yep.
So when you see the media say, "Oh, Joe Biden has won," Donald Trump will come back and say the same thing he's been saying since the first day of his presidency. The liberal media is lying. Don't believe them. And guess what his Trump supporters are going to do? They're going to eat
They're going to rally around that.
They're going to rally around it. This is what's happening. And that's why.
Especially what pissed me off. I'm sorry to cut you off, but did y'all watch the video with Trump's little raggedy son tweeted to do a Trump train on Kamala in the Biden Kamala bus, and it literally ran them out of Texas. Did y'all see that video?
Mm-hmm.
It's just I think it was Austin, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's just the stuff like that is like that we are normalizing. Like things are becoming so normalized that it's scary.
Well, I wouldn't say normal. Let's backtrack.
No, but the fact that people felt empowered to do so, like that was okay.
Right.
That is you're comfortable. Like that is almost becoming. It's almost like we see deadly force, or we watch something on TV or whatever, and we don't even cringe anymore. It's like slowly starting to creep through, and it's becoming a normalized process. And the fact that people feel emboldened to act out, and it kind of rings in my head the sentiment, like I'm at this point, people are really like, I'm willing to die for mine, because people are really feeling a level of like being emboldened by this fake leader that we had in the House. And I'm like, how are we going to bounce back from that?
2 points. Number one, you said this fake leader. You have to have a leader that's going to make sure that he alienates himself away from these type of actions. Number one. Number two, this goes back to our very first podcast or our first talk about how your vote matters. So if you have a sheriff that's going to condemn this, if you have a mayor that's going to condemn this, a secretary of state, all these individuals play a factor into how the citizens behave. Because if you have a sheriff that's going to say, if you run this person off the road, we are going to try you to the fullest extent of the law. We're going to arrest all y'all all going to jail.
Right.
That's what happen. They're not going to come out there. But when you have these when you have leaders in office that don't condemn these actions, this is what you see. And you're going to continue to see it, because you're going to have people that do not find people on both sides, or these patriots are doing what they're supposed to do. Like, this is only emboldening them to carry out these actions more. So goes into another point. I'm scared to see what's going to happen the next few months, because it may get ugly.
We're going to talk about that, but I have no doubts in my mind that it's going to go there. Mm-hmm. And Brandon's, I made fun of Brandon in the podcast, The Black Man Experience. If y'all have not watched that episode, it's hilarious, but it's very, very honest. Where he stated that every Black person should arm themselves. And if you don't feel like you need to have some sort of protection at any point, at any time in your life, this is the time. Because people feeling real cocky and real confident. And if you're not, and it's almost like, if you're not willing to die behind yours, then what you doing it for? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
mine in my private.
I don't know if it's the New Orleans in here or what, but I'm it's more and more you watch news, more and more you see things, you're like,
listen.
And I think it's because my dad is kind of crazy too. So it's like
mine in my closet, the other one in the car.
Brandon, don't bring them out. Moving forward.
I listen to 21 Savage every day, so if they bout it, I'm bout it. So what's up?
So, question: do you guys? Okay, so Jasmine, I know that you said that you have 2 people in your family that voted for Trump specifically. Mm-hmm. Usually, and I'm speaking for Sequez. Usually, if you vote for a specific party or you're a part of a specific party, it's like, okay, that's just that relates to your beliefs, right? It's not a personal thing. But right now, at where we are in life right now, and people in the chat, I want you guys to also comment. For the people, do you take it a personal offense for people who have voted for Trump? Like, do you take it a personal offense? Like, yo, like, I don't know if you and I could be cool just because how you voted to.
I'm gonna be completely honest. So I think it was Joseph who said something that really struck me, and it's something I've thought about as well in regards to people who do vote for him. This increase in votes he said, can we ask if those raised votes were on the mental health spectrum?
He said because he's convinced.
He's convinced, and I've thought about this. So this is something that has like crossed my mind. Some of those people who I know that have voted for Trump, it's like you wonder about them in regards to their mental health, because with all of the stuff that's going on, all of the different mindsets, the fact that real Republicans like Cindy McCain and Colin Powell and people who are true conservatives have come out and said, I cannot deal with this. Somebody who would rather put America before party. I mean, it makes you wonder why, and so I have had to delete people from my Facebook. Family, unfortunately, you can't delete them. It is what it is. They are on my timeline. One of them is on my timeline. One of them is not. When I made my status yesterday, I was directly talking to one of them. Black Trump supporters, like, how are y'all right now? Like, how are you feeling? What is, like, are you okay? Because your candidate who you went out on a neck for, on a limb for, does not exist. And is about to go away for a while. and I know that he's like the Barack Obama to them of the Republican Party, and that is very scary. That is like really, really terrible to me. But again, I think that I personally am going to disconnect, because you can be Republican all day, you just can't be a Trump supporter. Not in my circle. No way.
Brandon. Brandon, what is it? What is it?
Oh,
It's sitting at the tip of your tongue. Could you date a girl that was a Trump supporter? Could you date a girl that's a Trump supporter?
I'm single until I'm done with my dissertation. I'm not dating.
My question was, could you date a woman that was a Trump supporter?
The Trump supporters I've seen that are black women don't comb their hair, so I don't know if I could really.
I mean, look at Candace Owens.
Y'all know she coming to Nashville? Oh my God.
So, but moving on to I forgot what the original question was.
My question was, do you take it personal that there are people? Do you take it personal for people that vote for Trump? Like, would they be a part of your circle?
Well, anyone that's in my circle didn't vote for Trump, but I wouldn't take.
We hate him too, girl. We hate him too.
Listen, God, dog. But I would ask them why. Like, why did you vote for Trump? I'm not just going to write them off right then. I would ask them why they voted for Trump. And let's have a meaningful discussion about why you voted for Trump and why you did not vote for Biden. Now, if you're voting for Trump based off of racism or other isms, then no, we can't communicate. I can't be around you, so on and so forth. But if there's some logic to you voting as a Republican and Trump happened to be a Republican, then maybe, if that makes sense. Now, if you voted for Trump because you like that he said he grabbed someone by the cat and got away with it, no. But
cat. You have to say the P word if you was gonna say cat.
So I just thought about it. I had a conversation and I talked to Brandon about this person. I had a conversation with a friend, a real friend, who was on the fence of whether or not they should vote for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. They are, let me be honest, they are making way more money than most of us. So I'm gonna just be completely frank, okay? They might be, they might be approaching the $400,000 a year mark that everybody's talking about, right? So when he talks about it, he talked about more so paying out of pocket for his insurance plan because he's an entrepreneur. And he knew that his taxes would be raised. I feel like that to me is the only group of people who kind of where I'm like, I
Right?
don't know. Right? Like, but
Right.
then that one cousin that works in that particular industry that Joe Biden talked about getting rid of, what near that salary.
Right.
So it's just for me, it's like, okay, I can see the 1%, the people who are making $400,000-$500,000 a year. Like I see your face, Aquez, but it's about money for them. It is what it is. It's about
Pick me. Okay. So this is the thing. I get that though, right? We understand that. We get that. But to what extent, we're literally off topic, but to what extent does your money in paying taxes or whatever outweighs someone inciting hatred? Like literally
Are y'all
just really going out and telling people to stand by. Like you get what I'm saying? Like it's
okay.
almost like a hand thing. Like it's like, bro. Okay, go ahead.
I've been saying it all night. Depending on what demographic you are, you don't care about nobody else. You trying to get it on your own and feed your family, feed your kids. And if you have someone that's running for office that says, "I am not going to charge you as much taxes and or a higher tax rate than candidate B," guess who they supporting? Period. I mean, I can't blame them for that. Like, if that's your reason why, I kind of get it. I'm not supporting it. I'm not voting for Trump because of taxes or whatever reason, but I get it. Like, that makes sense to me. Whereas if it's another demographic, they're probably going to vote for Joe Biden, regardless of how much money they're making, which goes back to my earlier point, Jasmine. Because black women have their linked fate and think about everybody when they vote.
That's even ignorant. I'm sorry.
But if you only make $8 an hour,
right.
you work at Amazon, not downing Amazon workers, but you packaging gifts, and you talking about I'm worried about my taxes. Like, come on.
Let me say this. If you're still getting an income tax check from the government, you don't need to worry about this conversation.
If
let's do this. Okay, if the person is making less, if you are making less than, I'm gonna just even say 100K.
Basically, if you got a stimulus check, you don't need to chill out.
Right.
Like, nah. I'm honestly like, we'll talk. Like, I think now it's like you with us. In my mind right now, you either for us or you against us. It's no
in between.
It's no in between with me right now. Like at this point, I feel like it's so critical. You either rock. It's like you know how when you hit 30s, are we doing this or not? You like me or not? You about to pay these bills or not? It's that mindset for me at this point. So if you're not even in that tax bracket, and that's the only thing that you worry about is the money aspect, and we're taking the money aspect away because you don't even fit that, and you're still on that, nah, like you can't even be in my circle. Because you don't even like me. If you know where you can convince me that you like me as a person, but you rock with Trump. It's no way you can tell me you agree, you align with his viewpoints, but me being a womanist first, because I'm a proud womanist, being a womanist first, feminist second, black, vocal.
But that goes back to what Dad said earlier in the show, being a one issue voter. Like if you're only voting for Donald Trump to get your taxes cut, he's not thinking about all the or he or she. It's not thinking about all the other policy issues that may affect you, especially for black men. So I can't necessarily say if you voted for Donald Trump, then you don't have my best interest at heart, because you may just be looking out for yourself, which kind of.
I don't care.
Okay.
I do not care if it's not about the money. I'm saying removing the money, removing that, and going from just being a freaking human.
Yes, and Dion is absolutely right. They are saying they don't care about any of the racism. They don't care about any of the hateful rhetoric.
Co-worker. Hey, Dion.
Oh, Dion. They don't care about the hateful rhetoric. They just want their taxes cut if they're a one issue voter, and they don't care about anything else. I guess that demographic feels like they can deal with it if they are making a certain amount of money or at a certain tax bracket.
But that
That's
to
what
me
they
shows just how messed up we are as a
exactly.
society, right? That to me shows just how messed up that my money matters more than your morals.
Yeah.
Come
No,
on, Jasmine.
and I'm
Speak
not
to the
just,
people.
no,
Educated self.
let me say this. I'm not justifying it by no means. This is just us talking about.
No, and I get it, and I get
It's
it.
not going to meet you, Brandon.
I'm with you, and I understand, but I'm just saying, pulling out what you're saying, right? When you break it down, it's this man's morals
Don't matter.
nothing to do with, as long as it don't mess with my money, I'm good.
Yeah, this
So
man.
capitalism has messed us up this bad,
Yes,
like to the point where it's I got mine, now you get yours. Like
That's it. It is all about self, and that's how scary this is. That's how scary we have removed. And remember, I think we talked about it in the plug. We talked about the N word, and we talked about being so just self-focused and just being so much the individual that we don't even care about our neighbors, bro. But in the same breath, we asking for allies. We asking for people. We asking for white people to stand in the gap for us. We asking people to like use your voice to amplify our voices, and yet we are still worrying about the individual. How can I ask you, my neighbor, to stand in the gap for me when I'm not willing to stand in the gap for my own people?
and it's not just the citizens; it's also the politicians. It was the Republican Party. Mitch McConnell didn't care about what article came out every week about Donald Trump. He just trying to get his agenda passed. They try to get the Supreme Court justice in and get their policies passed because their agenda supersedes the well-being of the electorate that did not put them in office, right? They didn't care about no black. Let me not say this. Basically, what capitalism is ruling, like money is ruling everything right now. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I do think it's bad because we do have to look out for each other. But that's probably one of the main reasons these individuals voted for Trump. They didn't care about the numerous articles that came out about things he's done or said, how he didn't pay taxes. People didn't care about none of that. They just wanted to know how much money is being taken out of my check and who's going to limit it the most. That's who I'm voting for.
I don't know.
Let's move
I
forward.
get it, but
Jasmine is a vibe. You hear me? I love my friend. Okay,
Oh,
so
we got to hurry up too because the Saints playing.
I know it just started. So let's move forward. Jasmine, it's your pop quiz.
oh, okay. I think I texted. Hold on, let me make sure.
Okay, for the people who joined in late, Jasmine is going to do her pop quiz question. I just realized that Brandon told me to hurry up. First, oh sorry,
I'm joking.
I just caught it. For the pop quiz, Jasmine's going to ask a question. Whoever get it right and type it in the chat first will receive a $10 cash app. Thank you. Oh my God, Sissy on the chat. Hey, Sissy. Go ahead.
So, which states were red Republican states in 2016 that have now flipped blue? There are some that are pending, but there are 3 solid ones that have flipped blue. Which ones are they?
If you know the answer, type it in the chat and we will cash app you. So, Jasmine, what's the question one more time for the Holy Ghost?
Which states were red? Yep, Sheila done.
Yeah.
Sheila got it.
You ain't got to repeat it.
Sheila. All right. So the question was, Sheila got it. Which states were red in 2016 and have now flipped blue solidly? Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Very good. However, Georgia is definitely, but they're doing a recount, so it's coming. But those that have been confirmed for sure, Sheila got the answer right. Go
Sheila, can you please message me your cash app? Thanks, girl. Okay, so that just changed. That moves us to Jasmine and I's favorite part, which is let's talk about just Black women. Okay, let's just talk about Black women. Period. specifically the one and only Stacey Abrams and what she has done is just, I'm floored. I'm just like floored. Stacey Abrams was like, okay, she's like the every black woman, like it's kind of like the let me just go back and get another degree type of thing. She was like, okay, I didn't get governor. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this whole entire state. Do you? And she registered 800 over 800,000 voters. Like what? So Jasmine, I want to kick it off to you. How are you feeling about your dear beloved Stacey Abrams and what is happening in Georgia since that is where you're living at right now?
So I was up at 3:37 a.m. because I could not go to sleep to see what happened with the state of Georgia. Georgia was getting close. It was 11 o'clock that night. They were like, Georgia is about to flip. It was literally like razor thin. And I'm staying up. I got to see this. I'm so proud of Stacey Abrams because instead of becoming bitter, she became better. There was somebody on Facebook who said that she may not have won the war, but she won the battle. Oh no, it was
no, she may not win the battle, but she won the war.
There you go. There you go. I flipped it around. She did not win the battle, but she won the war. I really appreciate her for being just the black woman who was like, you know what, I'll fix it.
Period.
Like, I'll fix it. 800,000 people have been registered to vote because of her organization. Now, there are some other organizers. I don't know their name. I know that people have been throwing their names around with a couple of other organizations, you know, of some other black women, and kudos to them. But when it comes to the real, everybody know it was Stacey.
Period.
So I just want to say that I'm very proud of her. I'm glad that she did not become bitter. She became better. She literally said, I'll fix it. Not only does Georgia doesn't deserve Stacey Abrams, America doesn't deserve black women.
That's so, my friend, and that's on period.
And that's how I'm gonna end it, because yet again, the only demographic with over 90% of the vote going to the Democratic Party is literally because of us. So I'm gonna wrap it with saying America just doesn't deserve black women. Period.
You might want to put that on a shirt, Sequez. Georgia doesn't deserve Stacey. America doesn't deserve.
Period.
Copyright.
The pen is moving, friend. Come on, friend, get my ideas. Go ahead, Brandon.
I'm not going to, touch on that because Jazz pretty much said it all. But I will say this: I do think that other states, if they want to win the battle as Democratic tough strongholds, but in those Republican states, need to emulate what Stacey did and start organizing now. Start getting as many voters registered as possible. Start talking to the younger demographic, because the younger demographic really turned out to vote. It's dangerous because I think that black vote age 30 to 44, it's like 19% went to Trump. But they need to start organizing now. Start talking to these young voters now. Start seeing what we need to do to get these people to turn out to vote. And if I'm not mistaken, the runoff is in January in Georgia for the Senate seat. So I think they're trying to turn out those first-time voters that's turning 18 between now and January and get them registered so they can vote in January as well. But they need to go to states and say, look, what did you do? How much we need to pay you so we can get this done in other states as well. That's what I think.
Okay, so what do you think that means for other states? If we can, and I say we, I'm speaking in general as a Democratic Party, if we can flip Georgia, right?
Well, it's gonna be tough because
I'm just talking in general. If
I
there's a
know, I know what
possibility,
you're saying.
if
Yeah.
there's a possibility to flip Georgia, where everyone always would thought that Georgia will always be,
So,
is there a possibility for other states?
okay, so I'm gonna hop in here in regards to Georgia and give the demographics as to why Georgia is flipping. Yes, everybody knows that Metro Atlanta is historically blacker than black, right? Let's be honest. It is the black mecca. Everybody knows that it's Atlanta, DC. There are a couple cities that you just know black folks are gonna thrive and do well in. The reason that Georgia has flipped is because of transplants that have come to this state based upon corporations that are here getting jobs. The reason that Texas even was a question of whether or not it would go blue is yet again because of people who are transplants like Brandon, who are in Houston, people who are in Dallas, people who are in Austin, and some of other places like San Antonio, just those metro areas where there are corporations. College educated millennials are helping to flip the states. Now, places like Mississippi, which is the blackest state in the nation, Louisiana, which is the second blackest state in the nation, the reason that they're not flipping is because you don't have big booming business growth in those states. So you don't have corporations who are saying, I'm leaving New York City to move to New Orleans. They'll leave New York City and come to Atlanta, or they'll leave New York City and go to Dallas. But a lot of the big business corporations are not going to states like, they're not running to Jackson or New Orleans or Baton Rouge, right? So that the brain drain is happening. The brain drain means people go to these colleges, like we all went to Jackson State, but none of us, at least these three of us, none of us live in Jackson still, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are, as soon as they literally graduate from high school in New Orleans, they know that they're going somewhere else to go to college and they start their lives elsewhere because there aren't many opportunities. As much as we love New Orleans, Sequez, there's not many opportunities for somebody in New Orleans to move up the corporate ladder,
Right.
as we have been doing the past 10 or 15
In
years.
our fields, in our specific
Right, in our fields, right. So there are certain fields that do really well. If you're in the medical field,
hospitality,
if you're in hospitality, if you're in the legal field, you do really, really well in some of these places. But Louisiana and Mississippi have a lot of work to do in regards to bringing in corporations, which help to bring in people and mindsets that are different from the people who have been raised there, or stop the brain drain and figure out a way to have people who say, you know what, I'm going to stay in Jackson. Once I graduate, I'm going to buy a home and I'm going to help to change the demographic of these particular areas. Exactly. Louisiana, I agree. There's no reason for you to stay. The powers that be are there. So that's just my opinion about why I don't think anytime soon. I do think Texas is going to flip in the next 4 years. I think Florida is going to continue to be a toss-up because you've got a huge immigration population, but you've also got retirees from Middle America who go there.
And the Cubans.
Correct. And I don't know what's up with the Cuban population, but they must not be Latino. So I don't know.
And to add on to what Jazz said, of course we got the brain drain. But another thing that separates Georgia from other southern states goes back to the work that Stacey Abrams did. We have these voter suppression laws in these different states that Stacey Abrams was able to overturn. I think it's called the exact match, where your your license or your ID had to be the exact same as what's on the voter roll. These governors, these state representatives are doing everything they can to suppress the vote. If you don't have those activists or those people in those states to combat this, you're not going to see change like we did in Georgia. Stacey Abrams and her group fought to not only register these people to vote, but to overturn these suppressive policies. A lot of the reason these corporations are not coming to Mississippi is because of the old people that's in office and the policies. And you saw that the NCAA said, "I'm not coming to Mississippi if y'all don't change our flag." Like, it's a lot that needs to change.
Which has been changed.
Which has changed, but that's just an example of how suppression and policies influence who stays in the state and who leaves and who can still vote. And they just made another change too. I have to go back and look it up, but it's too many. It's a lot of suppressive policies. Then you have gentrification. It's a lot that plays into why I don't think these states are going to overturn anytime soon. Uh, that's why you need a Stacey Abrams, who was a Yale law graduate, I think, to come in and look at these laws, say, no, this is not right, take it to the Supreme Court and say, we need to overturn this so that you can get more people to vote. Here in Harris County, the county clerk, I can't think of her position, but Hidalgo, one of the things she did was take away, you have to vote at your exact precinct. You can vote at any precinct in Harris County. And what did you see? Votes go up exponentially. You can vote anywhere. Usually I voted the Fiesta down the street, but then I saw that I went and voted at the Holiday Inn. It was no line, right? You see a lot of people vote at Texas Southern. You need strategies like this to turn out the vote, to get these states to flip, to get people out and see that change being made. If you don't, voter suppression is going to continue to run rampant, and you're not going to see these states flip.
Okay. So we're winding down and slowly coming to the end, and we have a special announcement at the end. Also, Brandon, the Saints are up 7
Yeah,
to the Buccaneers. So just wanted to keep you updated. Also, Jasmine loves football.
Yeah, the Buccaneers are punting right now.
Yeah. So, Jasmine, you made a comment about transplants. How important is it for us as people to move to certain cities to start making it our home? What's so important about transplants when it comes to the election?
So just look at Georgia, right? So if you look at Atlanta and you look at some of the other counties, you've got in Atlanta alone, you've got Delta Airlines, you've got Home Depot, Coca-Cola. And that's just to start, right? I didn't even know the Waffle House headquarters was in Atlanta. Correct. So there are hundreds and hundreds of corporations here in Atlanta for people to get jobs. This is where college-educated Black millennials are considering making a home because they can make livable wages and have great jobs. I think it is extremely important for transplants to pay attention to where they're living. So you've got people, the reason, again, like I stated, is we can flip Texas blue in the next 2 to 4 years. With all of the people who are moving to Dallas and Austin and all of these different places to start their lives with corporations and other jobs, with college degree jobs, it is very important that we pay attention to where we're living. Now, I think it's very unfortunate because as much as I love New Orleans and New Orleans has my heart, I am a resident of Atlanta for a reason. My husband's job, which is why we moved here from Jersey when I finished graduate school, is because he got a job with Delta Airlines. And we got settled here in Atlanta. And it's a different world. Even when I went home a couple of days ago, and I had an opportunity to travel around the city, New Orleans and Atlanta, as much as we consider ourselves rivals, it is two totally different worlds in regards to population, in regards to cleanliness of the city, in regards to money and economic empowerment in the city. I mean, New Orleans right now is really struggling because tourism is down due to COVID. So I think that you've got to pay attention to all of these different factors that are happening in regards to transplants moving all over the country. But I do believe that because of the transplants, Georgia will continue to stay blue, Texas will go blue, and I think North Carolina and Arizona will go blue.
Yeah, because Charlotte is getting a lot of transplants.
Listen, I'm trying to move to Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay,
Yeah.
like, that's a goal. It's popular.
The banking industry in Charlotte is booming. Texas is getting a lot of transplants from California in the tech industry. They're all moving to Austin, Texas. One of the main reasons is because the state tax in California is astronomically high, and there is no state tax, of course, here in Texas. So I don't get any state tax taken out of my check. I go to the gas station, give them $1, and I got some water with no taxes on. Like, it's a lot of benefits to living in Texas. But there's those suppressive policies may come into play. But you see Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, these metropolitan areas all turning blue as we get further into the years, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll still see those transplants come in, but they'll start living in the more of the outer regions of these major areas, and you'll start to see that rural population go down, or that
Mm-hmm.
will not have as much of an impact on the outcome of the election because so many people are coming into these metropolitan areas. Like Houston has like what 3 million people. Dallas is up there. Dallas may overtake Houston population in the next 20 years. So Texas does have that opportunity to turn blue real soon.
I feel like I'm forever the transplant, especially with my job. I feel like I'm forever the
But
transplant.
one of the larger issues here in Texas is citizenship for Mexican Americans. That's what one of the main reasons Donald Trump tried to put "Are you American citizen" on the census to deter Mexicans from filling it out because there was this threat that if they said no, then the immigration would come and take those people and take them back to Mexico. Mexican Americans are going to be the majority here in Texas pretty soon. If they're not already, I'm not sure. And Mexican Americans coming from Mexico tend to turn Democrat, vote Democrat. So we could see that change real soon.
And I think Joseph asked the question, really, do I think North Carolina is going to go blue? I really believe so. And the reason I say that is because of the banking industry that is booming in North Carolina. You've got Bank of America there. You've got, I think Wells has a headquarters there. It's just so many different corporations that are in North Carolina that I think sooner or later that the more transplants come into North Carolina is going to go blue. The reason Arizona is going to go blue is because there are those college educated millennials who are tired of being in California paying California prices, and they're moving to Arizona to buy homes and to get settled and stable. And so they're buying homes at significantly cheaper prices, getting more land. And it's not because of, oh, there's so many great jobs. It's because of I'm leaving California and I possibly could be remote with my job, or I could commute in for my job. There are people also in Nevada who are doing the same thing, moving to Vegas from LA, moving to Phoenix from LA. So I think that there's a shift happening in where transplants are going to start changing the demographic of these places. Now, is that a great thing? I believe so. I really believe so. I think that us being so college educated, especially people having 2 and 3 degrees, looking for corporation jobs, it puts a lot of emphasis on these big cities. But those rural areas are still going to have a lot of the non-college educated people that we have got to find a way to speak to.
Agreed.
How do you think that can? What do you think they're feeling? You said it last episode that they feel neglected.
Yep.
What and Trump speaks their language. What language is that to where the Democrats are deaf to, but Trump understood?
That he's going to bring back their jobs, which is we haven't seen yet. They're more so concerned about the Latinos and the jobs being shipped overseas. Latinos are taking our jobs and jobs are being shipped overseas. If you think about it, someone in Iowa, someone in rural Indiana, a lot of either their parents or they had really good factory jobs. And when those factory jobs closed up, factory jobs were paying $40,000, $50,000, $55,000 a year. And when those factories close up in those areas, where do they go and work? They have to work in the service industry. So they're now working at, unfortunately, places like Waffle House or the local Kmart or those places. And those places are closing. Retail is, so now they have jobs at Walmart, right? So they're not making as great of a wage as their parents or their parents' generation were 20, 30, 40 years ago when those factories were there. And so you've really got, and I think that people say, oh, the Dems have to find a way to talk to them. No, the Dems have to do something for them.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. So we're coming to an end, right? So let's go to, so what's next? And what we know, we understand, we talked about the Senate, we talked about Congress, we talked about transplants, and we talk about states flipping. What we're gonna move to the presidency, but for you two, Brandon and Jasmine, what do you think is the should be the next step when it comes to now that we have Trump out of office? Do we think that Trump is gonna go willfully? You know what I
No.
mean? No. But now that Trump is officially out of office and Biden and Kamala, first of all, I need them to respect her name. That's one. But now that Trump is out of office and Biden and Kamala are now in office, will be in office, what do you think should be their first step in when it comes to the United States of America? Is it
Uh,
unity? Is
I
it
can, I can answer this one. It's clear and cut. Like this is the very first thing they need to do. Forgive my student loans. I don't care about anything else. I don't care what Joe Biden do after that.
we could say burn sage, and I'm here for
Miss
that. 'Cause
Harris, Vice President Harris can dance in the rain all she want. I don't care. Forgive my student loans. We good. I honestly think if they forgive student
Jasmine is
loans,
done.
we will have Joe Biden will be the president for the next 20 years. We will write a new constitution. Listen,
That's a
forgive
fact.
my student loans. That's it.
Jasmine, I'm sorry, I
No,
can't.
this really burns me up because this is really a shame that this is the point we're at in America as college educated millennials. That there are children who are in cages. Literally, children who are in cages at the border.
Mhm.
And the very first thing that we want is for student loans. Do you know how terrible that is? Like, and it's not even terrible that this is like a self-interest. This is like that's how messed up the system did us.
They vote if they get
Jasmine
rid of
makes
my
us feel
student loans,
so bad every
if they
time.
get rid of my student loans, I will drive to the cages and freedom kids myself.
Brandon, I'm just saying. I agree. I totally agree that student loans, we can executive order the hell out of student loans, pages, all of that. But I really did just really think about like how messed up this is, right? Like really think about like we are in debt so bad. We are in debt so bad that we literally there are children, whether we forgot about these children or not.
No, because we know that 500 children, they can't even find their parents. We
Right.
know that.
But we are literally
But these
it's
student
not,
loans are
it's not
ridiculous.
even a selfish interest. I'm not even upset about that, right? I'm not that doesn't bother me. It's the fact that the system screwed us up that much
Yeah.
that we got this much loans, this much debt, and these 500 plus children are in cages with no parents. And the very first day, black folks are like, F them kids. Cancel my student
We
loans.
got a justice.
Yo, that's not like Tristan. Sorry.
We got a justice on Supreme Court that was wasn't even a clerk. Like we got so many other issues, but if you get rid of my student loans, but there's some economic impact to that, right? Because student loans hold us back. It's real. Like I can't buy a home. I can't. Once I finish up my doctorate degree, I gotta start paying them back. I don't know what the interest rate gonna be. I don't know how much it's gonna be a month. Like this is a real barrier to economic freedom. But if honestly, if Donald Trump has,
This Jasmine's face that's so serious in the comment section that's going off. It's hard.
listen, these student loans, it's a lot. Like this 180 some thousand. Come on, man, if you get rid of these.
I get it. I totally get it. I really, really get it.
I can still buy a home, but I'm saying it's harder to purchase a home.
But see, for me, it's more so about the whole Dave Ramsey, right, mindset, right? If you follow Dave Ramsey, you understand how he talks about college as a business.
Mhm.
And I really think it's unfair to us. Like, if I could do it all over again, I'm gonna be completely honest. I love my Jackson State to death, but I probably would do 2 years at a community college. I would do the last 2 years at Jackson State, and I probably would get my master's somewhere where a corporation would pay for it, right? But that's in hindsight because I didn't know what would happen in the next with all of this. But they just told us, go to school, go to school, go to school, getting more debt, getting more debt, getting more debt. And now look at us. We get one president.
We are miserable, just miserable.
And it's we get now, but if you look at the college students now, they got to pay the tuition we paid. Then they go to these classes where they got to pay $300 a book and pay for the access code to these books. Like, the business of higher education is booming. It is so much money.
Yeah, it's a business.
Off of us. So much money off of us.
It's a business. I am very concerned about these kids at the border, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Black Americans, like, that's cool. They've been there. They all right. Cancel my student loans.
Don't say Black America.
That's real. That's real. It's the truth.
College educated millennials are like, cool. We voted for you, Biden. We get it.
So about these student loans, though.
We need you on day one to executive order the hell out of these student loans.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jasmine. Okay, so we know that's Brandon's. Brandon was very serious about his student loan. Jasmine, what is the first thing that you would like to see Biden and his administration do?
Get them children out them cages. Yes, I said it. Like, I'm very serious. Like, every time I see that, like, I don't know if you've seen any of the documentaries.
Oh, I don't even expose myself to that. It's too traumatic. It's just traumatic.
It's traumatic. It is traumatic. I'm not saying that, okay, and everybody in the comments eating me up about saying Black America with the student loans, but to be completely honest, Black millennials, right? And these student loans.
Millennials in general.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, for me, it's about humanity first. I think, again, you can executive order a whole bunch of stuff. He could literally do multitasking, right? But to me, the very first signing would have to be the children. And of course, nobody knows where they're going to go. Nobody knows this, but you got social workers, you've got foster parents, you've got foster homes for a reason.
Yeah.
Figure that out and treat these people like humans, and then try to find or reconnect them with their parents if possible. But I do agree that student loans should be number 2. I do agree because I think that would help with the economy in so many different ways.
Yeah,
that would help boost the economy tremendously.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 1A and 1B. But another thing, 60 to 90 days out, I do think that
I just want to point out that this is Brandon on a good day. This is not, he haven't even been drinking. This is him. He's this funny on a good. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
But no, I was gonna say criminal justice reform also. I saw Joseph mention it. That is absolutely another issue that he has to tackle. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually like what Oregon did. You can say it's for white people, you can say whatever you want to say. I love what Oregon did when it came to decriminalizing meth, cocaine, and those hard drugs, and coming up with an alternative method to get these people the help they need. So I think we have to come up with new ways, creative ways to give people the help they need instead of putting them in prison, right? Because obviously that's not helping. Then you can talk about the prison industrial complex and how it's money in prisons too, and that's why people are sentenced like they are. But I do think that we should start coming up with new creative ways, inventive ways to give people the help they need instead of just putting them in jail. In Oregon was like, well, we've been putting them in jail for meth and all these other drugs for so long. It's not working. Let's try something else. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So yeah,
you have places like Canada where they have like designated houses, like safe houses where they can do their drugs under the advisement of medical professionals. And not to say that we have to copy that, but I feel like we're so focused on things that really doesn't really impact the economy. You know what I mean? But I agree. But I am here for getting the kids out the cages. I do not subject myself to certain things like that. As far as like watching the videos, I know my mental health boundaries. and that would just be too triggering for me. Just like I did not watch the videos from any of them. I'm like, okay, I just read the article. But I am down for the student loan forgiveness. I'm totally down for that. And I know you were serious, Jasmine, but Brandon's face was just giving me all the giggles that I needed.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I get it, and I understand how critical it is. Because if my husband was right here, he would say the same thing. He would be like, "Yeah, them kids, they've been there, so just cancel it." It's a shame, but it's true.
okay, so we coming to a close. We coming to the close. So let's move forward to the closing parts. So moving forward, we looking at now. So what should we expect in the upcoming days now that Trump is out of office? And this is speaking when going to what should we expect now from today in the upcoming days? What should we know? What should we be looking forward to? What should we be looking out for? In the upcoming weeks, what should we know? What we should be looking forward to? And also in Biden and Kamala's first 90 days, what do you think that we should be knowing and looking at? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay, go ahead. I'll start with Jasmine.
So I think if you're a praying person, I would say first, stay prayed up. I think that we are coming into a time in this country where it's very split. We have 70 million people that voted for this man. You have 74 million people who voted for Joe Biden. So it's really only a difference about 4 million people. Please understand that in the next 30, 60, 90 days, you may see some stuff in this country we have never seen before. There are going to be rallies. There are going to be protests. There are going to be riots. And you can just see it already happening. Stay prayed up. Obviously, start there. I do believe in your Second Amendment right. If you do not already have that, please talk to someone about how to. Brandon, please, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, where the guns at? Where you guns at, Brandon?
Listen.
I knew he was gonna get his guns. No, he went to go.
Second, exactly. Your Second Amendment right is very important, as you can see. Brandon has shown everyone. I believe that we will see Donald Trump in the next 90 days possibly go to jail.
You want to expound on that, Jasmine?
I believe that if he goes to New York at all,
oh yes, totally not going.
I think the New York Attorney General will lock him up.
Out for blood.
So, but that's just kind of on a whole nother layer. But in regards to Black people, please understand that now he is the president of the United States of America. He is not only the president of Black people. Yes, he gave us a shout out. Yes, we know that in time things will come. Things will happen. Kamala will not forget us. She cannot. She's in a group chat with her line sisters who won't let her, from what I've heard. So
I'm just surprised that Jasmine didn't do a whole AKA speech. I just
no.
I'm surprised she didn't ski when she first got on. Like
I was too. I was a little shocked.
I'm really holding back. I really am. But anyway, I mean, it is the first and the finest. So as I was saying though,
that's Jasmine that I know.
But they have to be everybody's president, y'all. They're presidents for Latino people and gay people and white people and Jewish people. So we've got to respect the fact that they need to get in the White House. First of all, they got to stage it out, pray it out, oil it out, get some indigenous
the blood of Jesus all up and through them.
Something, anything.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got to give them some time to get in and figure it out. Let them do a true 90, give them 90 days to really figure out what to do, because I think we're in such a messed up state that things are not going to happen overnight. So for me, it's staying prayed up, appreciating your Second Amendment right, and then also making sure that you're realistic in your ask and your goals for what this presidency looked like.
Can you say that one more time? Because I feel like we have these expectations that are just like that we want it to be about us so bad, because I felt like we have been neglected for so long.
Yep.
That it's like we wanted to, okay, what about us? What about us? But understand that it's the president of the United States. You know what I mean? Like,
He is the president of the United States. He is not only president, which is why I think a lot of Black people expected Barack Obama to be the Black Messiah in the United States. And you had to remember that he was the president of the United States of America. Yes, Joe Biden shouted us out in his victory speech, and that is amazing. I am so glad he did that, because that yet again sets a precedent that he has to go in the door with us on his mind, right? But I do believe that we have to be very realistic in understanding that it's going to take some time. Kamala is not going to come in the door with pink and green, painting the White House pink and green. There's not going to be like it's a lot of optimism around it, and I'm excited, and it's a lot of joy. But those people, they got to get to work too. They have 4,000 positions that they have to fill. So
are you being like, is that a real statement, or is that a
real number? That's a fact. There's 4,000 positions in a White House administration.
Well, I'll be John Brown.
And I think we'll also see Melania divorce Donald Trump. But anyway, keep it moving.
Period.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sorry. That's the word I was trying to look for team of realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Brandon.
But echoing what Jazz said, next few days, pray. Make sure you are protecting yourself. I don't know when Trump is going to concede. I don't know if he's going to concede. I don't think he's going to go quietly. I think it's going to be a fight all the way up until inauguration day, to be honest with you. I think he's banking on Supreme Court to try to bail him out. Hopefully get through the lower courts and go to Supreme Court. But like Jazz said, have those realistic expectations. One of the most important things I'm looking forward to is the Georgia Senate races, because if we don't have at least 50 in the Senate, it's going to be a lot harder for Joe Biden to do anything, because Republicans control the Senate. In the first 90 days, I'm looking forward to who he's putting in his cabinet. Who's the Secretary of Education? Who's the Secretary of Housing and Development? Who's the Secretary of Interior? Secretary of the Treasury? Because that's going to tell us a lot about what policy will look like during his presidency. So that's very important. So don't just look at Joe Biden. Look at who he surrounds himself with, his cabinet, because they make a lot of important decisions that directly impact us. Joe Biden is not doing it all on his own. Like that, he has to fill these positions. Let's look at this cabinet. Let's look at the Senate and try to get issues on the table that directly impact us and impact us in a positive way. Also, I will say this: don't, like Jazz said, they're not the savior. Don't just think that your vote is it and be done with the political process. Talk to your representatives, email them, contact them, let them know where you stand on issues. Try to get town halls scheduled, anything to let them know that they know you voted them in, and we're going to hold you accountable, right? That's very important. Yes, that's good. So if they ain't minorities, he can decide. But that's true. Like Jazz said, if someone is to lead the Supreme Court, he said this pick is going to be a Black woman. Minorities are going to be able to know what issues impact us and how they impact us, and frame things and frame things in that way. So who he picks is going to tell a lot about how his administration is going to do with policies and laws. So that's what I'm looking for.
Wait, this is another thing. I'm sorry, Squeeze. I just wanted to throw what Vernon said is I feel like also, as much as I appreciate, the Diddy's of the world and everybody who was like, hey, Joe Biden has to pick a Black woman or he's going to lose the Black vote in regards to this election. I think him coming out the gate saying the very first pick for the Supreme Court, if there's an opening, is going to be a Black woman. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I feel like we deserve it. We do. But I do want to make sure that the love is spread right? Because at the end of the day, 90% of Black women voted for you. So it's not like that voting block is going to change, right? We have to make sure that there could be a Latino woman that is possible to go, or an Asian American woman, right? I just think that we, a lot of times, it's always black and white, and that's great, right? But we've got to also think about holistically. There's so many demographics, right, in America. What about Mexican American? You know,
Cuban. But
so yeah, it's so many layers to this, right? So I really think that, and also let me just say this: white women are not minorities. Okay, anyway, I'm done.
Okay, so don't take on a Brandon spirit. You are dead.
I wouldn't say that.
So, but I do want to point, like, I think I want to say this, and then we're going to move forward to the last part. Jasmine made a really good point. I think sometimes people just feel like it's, again, I think it's because we've been ignored for so long. It's like, okay, what about us? What about us? We should have a Black person here. We should have a, and I understand that, but it's just not black and white. We are a melting pot. America is truly a melting pot, and if we want to see real change, especially right now in the company that I work for, it's like all about diversity and inclusion. And sometimes we feel like diversity and inclusion is just black. But diversity and inclusion is like, the difference between being invited to the party and is diversity. But inclusion is asking someone to dance.
Mm-hmm.
And so understand that we all should be dancing. We all are supposed to be our government should be a true reflection, a direct reflection of its citizens, right? So I want people to have realistic expectations of who we are, who they are in this office and what they can do, and why it's so important us to have a balance. Senate, like Jasmine, I think Brandon was saying, or Jasmine, I don't know which one was saying it, but like how it's important for it to be balanced, because if we don't have a balanced Senate, Biden won't be able to do anything. And then it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same conversation that we had for Obama. And it was like, oh, Obama didn't do anything for Black people. But did Obama have the backing to do certain things? You know what I mean? So I think that we have to have a fair set of realistic expectations.
Look at Sequoia's learning.
Huh?
Hey, look at Sequoia's learning something. Okay. I see you.
Listen, I be reading the group texts. I just don't be understanding all the time. But then I just go on Google and start doing like my own research. But y'all be talking over my head. So this introduces, this is the big announcement as to why we have Professor Swift, right? Because we're introducing a Swift Minute. You get it, like a Swift Minute. His name is Swift Minute. Okay, so I'm so excited. So listen, Brandon is going to be our future senator and hopefully our next president of the United States. I'm super, super proud of him. Just fix your face and look, my love. So what we're going to do, so Brandon is going to so each week Brandon is going to give you raw, uncut, the way you see him now in his raw, uncut words. He's going to start doing a video every week to tell you what's going on, what's popping off in the political realm, right? But say, oh Lord, I know, right? It's exciting. So, so Brandon is going to start uploading on Instagram. So it's called, so the Instagram is Swift Minutes. Swift Minutes. Okay. Okay, President Brandon Ward, right?
I'm coming.
So he's going to start uploading once a week called Swift Minute, and he's going to let you guys know what's popping off in the world around us and how it's going to affect our tomorrow, right? So what's happening today and how it affects our tomorrow. So the page is already up and running. I already created it for him because I was like, listen, you need to start working on your political career and start tapping into this market. And so I know Jackson face be just hella disrespectful.
But listen, it's not just for me, it's for y'all too, because we need to know what's going on in the world and how it impacts us. And sometimes listening to MSNBC or CNN or looking at social media, you get nothing but memes. It's important to see it from our perspective and how it impacts us. So yeah, Jazz, hide your face. I'm gonna have you on there a few days.
I'm so like excited. I was like, Brandon, this is what I think you should do. And Brandon he don't pay me no much attention. So he's like, okay, cool. But I just think because this is something that he's passionate about, just as Jasmine, I think it would just be such a great time for us to really just have a quick insight of what's going on in the world. And so he will be uploading every week. Brandon, do you have an idea when you're gonna start uploading?
Probably in January.
Okay, so Brandon's gonna start uploading in January. I'm going to put in the chat where what's the official name of the Instagram page. It's already uploaded. It's already like set up. So Brandon, how do you want your page to run? Give us a little insight. Do you have an idea what you want to pop off? I'm so excited.
Well, like I said, we're gonna talk more about that later, but it's gonna be those issues that are important to us that really impact us, and giving it to you from my perspective. And it's not, I don't know if it's gonna be Plaza Swift. That's a little bit too much. I don't know. Oh my God. I don't even remember Plaza Swift. That might
I don't think nobody's ready for Plaza Swift. Swift has it's gonna be Professor Swift. But he's gonna get us dignified but still Swift at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's gonna be Professor Swift. Because I left Swift. I cut Swift off with the dreads, so no, it's not. Really but no, we need to we need to know these things. So, Jazz, what's so fun? Let me try.
Because your face is. What is you thinking, Jasmine? Because your face is basically running the chat room right now.
Right.
What does Jasmine have to say?
I'm very proud of my friend. I'm gonna be very honest with you. This is a long time coming for him. If y'all knew where he started in political science, like if y'all knew, like that's why this is so hilarious to me, because we took every class together in school. And so now to look back and now see where he is now, getting ready to talk about running for Senate, I'm like,
well, no, I'm not gonna run for Senate.
This is also really in existence.
This is really, it's a really proud moment, but it's also like this boy about to be a fool on this channel. Like I already know, like it's gonna be straight comedy, and I'm happy for him. But it's just like y'all are gonna have to make sure that like you segue him to okay, Brandon, get back. Get back to the facts.
It's gonna be pre-recorded. It's a quiz. I can send it. I have someone that'll do the videos for me. I already talked to him.
Okay, cool.
And I send it to you before we upload them. But I do plan on running for office, even if I don't win, just to get that experience and start that political career off. But that's something we'll talk about at a later time. Right now, my focus is my dissertation. That's step one.
Yes.
Yeah, we know about your dissertation. We get it.
And I'll just be a political strategist with somebody.
Yes, and also Jasmine is about to like really start stepping into becoming a political strategist. Listen, we have a whole team. Yes. Jasmine is really this is her thing. Brand, this is his thing, and I'm just like, listen, if y'all forget me, I promise you, I'm like setting it off. I'm leaking photos to the press. I'm like leaking videos to the press. If y'all ever act like y'all don't know me. It's going off because I'm like, I was here at the very beginning when y'all was a hot mess. So don't act like you got your roots.
Hold on, Eureka, I didn't say nothing to May of next year. I said no dating. But yeah.
What? Okay, so nothing to May of next year. Oh no. Okay, so as a closing, anyone who has a comment or a question that they want to put in the chat, this is the perfect time to do so because we're moving towards our champagne conversation. Our champagne toast / takeaway. So and we're coming to an end. So, Joni just caught on. Oh, Joni, we missed you. So while Jasmine's pouring up. And Brandon, what is your champagne toast / takeaway that you want everyone to know for tonight?
My champagne toast takeaway is be mindful of how your actions impact those around you and not just you, and try to make a decision that benefits us all, the collective and not the individual. And hopefully we can start making those decisions as a collective and start moving towards a better American society that benefits us all.
What about you, Jazz? What's your champagne Oh, cheers. Also, if you have a champagne toast or a takeaway that you learned today or that you appreciated, please put it in the chat. Jazz, what is your champagne toast slash takeaway for the night?
America doesn't deserve black women.
Period. Yes. And my champagne toast slash takeaway is that this is the culmination. Oh, Rika. This is the culmination to a great series that is going to be an amazing beginning for others. And I hope that my takeaway is that I hope that you guys are inspired, that you learn something, that maybe you know this ignited something in you that you wanted to be more aware of what's going on in your surroundings and your community. I feel me personally being friends with these two amazing individuals who just trust me and let me do my thing and support me. I learned so much from them just in our mere text messages that it ignited me to want to learn more about what's going on. And I hope that happened to you guys. I hope if you wasn't into politics, if you didn't care about it or whatever, but you now have at least an inkling of wanting to know more, I'm here for it. The fact that I got two text messages from people that said that they're after our first, and I don't think I told you guys, but after our first episode, said that they was going to actually vote. So the fact that we're actually encouraging people to vote and to be more aware is a dope part. It's a dope experience. So I hope that this ignited something in you guys. And so my champagne toast slash takeaway is we lit, and that's it. Cheers. And unfortunately, I drank literally the whole entire bottle.
Unfortunately, that sounds like a fortunate. Just don't text him tonight.
Brandon, I can text you whenever.
I said don't text. I didn't say me. I said don't text him. You just finished the whole
So
bottle.
moving forward. Yo, I can't stand Brandon. So moving forward, if there's any comments or anything like that, this is the perfect time. Joe, ignore him. He ignorant, not ignorant, but he ignorant. Okay, just ignore him. Thank you. Also, please be aware that we're now going to be doing champagne conversation once a month. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. We're going to do a the Black Man Experience live.
Oh God.
Oh, I don't know if we should do that. Oh my, Sequoia.
So listen, let me tell you what happened. We got some people that when I remember last episode, I asked what you guys want to see. I got a couple. I'm gonna say about 4 or 5 people. It was like, yo, I think you do a Black Man Experience live. Now I don't think they understood how heavily edited the Black Man Experience was. So I'm trying to figure out is that what we should come out the gate with? Is the Black Man Experience live? See, look at Joan say, please do that live. I don't know. It got real ignorant. I'm telling you. No parents should be on that live. No, it got real ignorant.
I texted my husband and told him. He said, bet.
Okay, so Jasmine's husband was on that live. Brandon was on that live. Who else was on there?
Ernest,
John, Dross,
and dark skin with the tall skin just got married. What's that damn?
Who just got married? Gavin was on there.
Gavin.
It was just hella ignorant. That's all I can say. And it was heavily edited. And so the fact that that's the one that you guys want us to start with, I don't know. So if you have any other suggestions outside of the Black Man Experience, let me know. Of course, we did a Black Woman Experience, which was very much more like therapeutic. The man was just straight. Brandon said, I'm not going to put, let me just say that Brandon said a couple of things that was memorable. He was talking about a woman, she can't have kids, but she may not want kids. And he was like, well, if we marry, I'm just not pulling out. Like I'm saying,
I
like
didn't
if we
say
just
that.
on everything I love you
You
said
said
that.
it. It's on the
It's
audio.
on, yes, it is. You said that.
I'm about to go back and listen. I might just
Go
drunk.
listen. Rika, Imposter Syndrome was a really good episode. I think that was a really good healing episode. I really like that episode a lot. So we'll continue. So just please know, look at Rika said, what? I know he's real hella ignorant. But I do want to let you guys know that this episode, usually the champagne conversation is a bunch more people. So it's just that these two are my smart friends when it comes to the political world. But it's usually about 6 or 7 of us. So just imagine all these different type of personalities that's coming together. So if you have any ideas or suggestions of what you want to see next, let us know, and we will produce it coming this month. This month. So I might be tapping into Brandon or Jazz or whoever. If you want to be a part of the episode, you want to be live with us, send us a message and we'll make it happen as well. All right. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you. Any last words before we close out?
The Saints winning.
The Saints is winning, and we thank God. Jasmine,
America don't deserve black women.
America don't deserve black women, and to that, we're gonna put that on a shirt, and it's gonna have like champagne conversation today. All right, bye. Thank you. We're